The heresy of Antipope Benedict XVI. Antipope Benedict XVI has also taught many heresies and done many heretical things. Even saying many may be an understatement. For example, he publicly prayed with pagan Muslims at the Blue Mosque in Turkey in 2006. Heresy is not shown only by words, but also by actions. And heretical actions are a sign of abandoning or not having the Catholic faith. Question 12, apostasy. This is from the Summa Theologica. Question 12 on apostasy. Article 1, whether apostasy pertains to unbelief. Objection 1, it would seem that apostasy does not pertain to unbelief, for that which is the origin of all sins does not seemingly pertain to unbelief, since many sins there are without unbelief. Now apostasy seems to be the origin of every sin, for it is written, Sirach 10:14, the beginning of the pride of man is apostasy. From Duarim says to fall off from God. And further on Sirach 10:15, pride is the beginning of all sin, therefore apostasy does not pertain to unbelief. This is just like, these are basically the statements that St. Thomas will later address, okay? These are claims made by people. Objection 2, further, unbelief is an act of the understanding, whereas apostasy seems rather to consist in some outward deed or utterance, or even in some inward act of the will. For it is written, Proverbs 6:12-14, a man that is an apostate, an unprofitable man, walketh with a perverse mouth. He winketh with the eyes, presseth with the foot, speaketh with the finger. With a wicked heart he deviseth evil, and at all times he soweth discord. Moreover, if anyone were to have himself circumcised, or to worship at the tomb of Muhammad, he would be deemed an apostate. Therefore, apostasy does not pertain to unbelief. I just want to highlight here that even a person's actions, they don't even have to say something heretical. If they are seen getting circumcised with the Jews, or, praying at Muhammad's tomb and that kind of stuff, those are considered acts of apostasy, just the action itself. Continuing, this is St. Thomas now. I answer that apostasy denotes a backsliding from God. This may happen in various ways according to the different kinds of union between man and God. For in the first place, man is united to God by faith. Secondly, by having his will duly submissive in obeying his commandments. Thirdly, by certain special things pertaining to supererogation, such as the religious life, the clerical state, or holy orders. Now, if that which follows be removed, that which precedes remains, but the converse does not hold. Accordingly, a man may apostatize from God by withdrawing from the religious life to which he was bound by profession, or from the holy order which he had received, and this is called apostasy from religious life or orders. A man may also apostatize from God by rebelling in his mind against the divine commandments. And though man may apostatize in both the above ways, he may still remain united to God by faith. But if he give up the faith, then he seems to turn away from God altogether. And consequently, apostasy, simply and absolutely, is that whereby a man withdraws from the faith and is called apostasy of perfidy. On this way, apostasy, simply so-called, pertains to unbelief. Reply to objection 2. It belongs to faith not only that the heart should believe, but also that external words and deeds should bear witness to the inward faith. For confession is an act of faith. On this way, too, certain external words or deeds pertain to unbelief, insofar as there are signs of unbelief, even as a sign of health is said itself to be healthy. Now, although the authority quoted may be understood as referring to every kind of apostate, yet it applies most truly to an apostate from the faith. For since faith is the first foundation of things to be hoped for, and since without faith it is impossible to please God, when once faith is removed, man retains nothing that may be useful for the obtaining of eternal salvation. For which reason it is written, Proverbs 6:12, a man that is an apostate, an unprofitable man, because faith is the life of the soul, according to Romans 1:17. The just man liveth by faith. Therefore, just as when the life of the body is taken away, man's every member and part loses its due disposition, so when the life of justice, which is by faith, is done away, disorder appears in all his members. First, in his mouth, whereby chiefly his mind stands revealed. Secondly, in his eyes. Thirdly, in the instrument of movement. Fourthly, in his will, which tends to evil. The result is that he sows discord, endeavoring to sever others from the faith, even as he severed himself. Summa Theologica, second part of the second part, question 12. So as St. Thomas says, faith is displayed not only by belief, but also by external actions and deeds, okay? So when you see someone like Benedict the 16th publicly praying with Muslims at a pagan mosque and all this kind of stuff, that is a sign whereby you can see he doesn't have the Catholic faith. He is showing his lack of faith by his apostate deeds, okay?